Okay, before we proceed, may I ask that, ask that you silence your cell phones, please, or your alarms, or your pacemakers, or anything that chirps, peeps, or beeps. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the meeting of the Schofield Plan Commission for December 7th. First order of business is to call the roll. Commissioner Osley is not here. Okay. Is absent. Commissioner Manchella is absent. Commissioner Scott Berman.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Cindy Franklin.
Here.
Commissioner Gupta is absent. Commissioner Givanyahu is absent. Commissioner Jeff Berman.
Here.
Commissioner Ross Matei.
Present.
And I am present. And we have 5 members, and we do have a quorum. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Anybody who have corrections or additions to the minutes?
I move as presented.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Tonight's first and only case is case 2023-31P, site plan approval at 5202 to 5250 Old Orchard Road, to modify an existing site plan approval for a planned development in an OR office research zoning district in order to convert the 2 existing office buildings at 5202 and 5250 Old Orchard Road into an office and a 245 unit residential mixed-use development. Okay, do we have the petitioners here tonight? And who's? Good evening. Can you give us your name and your affiliation to the project?
Mitch Golds, GW Property Group, we're the applicant, developer. This is Tom Drake from the Drake Group, joint
Okay.
applicant, so nice to see you guys again.
Gentlemen, do you have others in your group who may come up and testify tonight?
We have some of our development team here.
So can I please ask all of those to stand up, and I will swear you all in, okay? Gentlemen, raise your right hand. Do you affirm that the testimony you give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth to help you?
I do.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, proceed, please. Again, can I have your name for the record?
I'll just throw in the notice as proper as
I was gonna get the name first. and then ask you. Yeah, because of the feedback, I apologize. Would you give us your name again, please?
Mine?
Yes,
Mitch Golds, GW Property Group.
thank you very much. Counselor, is there notice and order?
Yes, it is. Notice is proper and correct.
Thank you. Okay,
All right, well, thank you, everybody. I first want to say I thank staff. I believe the staff report was properly reflective of our intended plans here. We are excited to be before you. We are excited to be before you guys tonight. As I've said, Mitch Golds from GW Properties. We've developed quite a few properties in Skokie, and excited to be here for something a little bit more unique. So we're the contract purchaser for what's considered the Old Orchard office towers. Similar to other office projects across the country. This is not any different as far as some of the challenges in the marketplace with occupancy costs and whatnot. So, we have plans here to adaptively reuse this entire building structure, including the garage, and convert from office building to residential with a limited office component, as well as repurposing the garage. So, if we're able to proceed with this project, I believe this will be the largest adaptive reuse from an office to residential lease in anything that we've seen. So. I'll run through the plans really quickly, and I'm happy to answer any questions. As noted by staff in the report, we are planning approximately 250 units. It might be a little bit more, it might be a little bit less, depending on the final layouts. We do have some existing office tenants in the building that we'll have to contend with, which we will work as the process goes forward. The image on the screen right now is more of a bird's eye view from the expressway facing Old Orchard Road. This is showing the 2 buildings. We do plan on making extensive exterior improvements to convert it from office to residential, and a pretty good image of what the rooftop elements will be over the garage. Zoomed in aerial facing southeast facing the expressway in the back. This is what it would look like. We do have some great plans to make a pretty incredible amenity deck on top of the garage, which is approximately, I believe, 65,000 square feet. No plans on changing to the signs. We will obviously repurpose the signs, but the structure themselves, the size, configuration, and location, what we would intend to reutilize. Some general, more zoning aspects here. Happy to get into any specific questions. We do plan on reusing some of the, or we do plan on keeping some of the existing office tenants in the building, particularly on the ground floor. The total project will be around 250 units, with parking more in excess of what code would require. You know, with a healthy mix of studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and some 3 bedrooms. Here's an image facing the building with some outdoor patios that we'd be doing by recessing the facade and bringing back the curtain wall and exposing some elements. Oh, that's the.
I think we started midway through. It's okay.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay, well, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened there. Okay, well, that's all true and correct. We'll breeze through this. This is the beginning image. Go. I like dessert before dinner anyway, so we're all good. So this is just an image of the existing office park facing north. This is the site plan, as noted in the report. We are not changing any physical characteristics of access. The site plan, there's no demolition proposed, so for the most part, what's remaining today will exist in the proposed project. There will be some architectural enhancements as well as some landscaping enhancements, but the image on the screen is as existing. We saw this one. Once again, this is highlighting some of the new trees that will be added on here. We do plan on adding some outdoor space along the north building to create some ground floor units. Tree detail. The amenity deck will entail some outdoor green space on the ground floor that exists today, which is a former bocce ball court and green space. This is a bird's eye view of the amenity deck, which is still being curated, but there would be upwards of an eighth of a mile walking track, you know, pickleball, pool, all sorts of amenities that would be concurrent with market conditions. This is the side-by-side comparison of both towers. The areas in brown or brownish are going to remain commercial, and then the areas in the other colors would be portions of the residential lobby, amenity space, lounge, utility rooms, and other back-of-house elements. This is the image of the side-by-side of both towers, which are near identical buildings. The floor plate will be between 20 and 25 units per floor. They'll be consistent across the building, a mix of studios 1s, 2s, and 3s. There'll be certain units that will have recessed balconies, as noted on some of the renderings. Similar view. The parking garage will largely operate the way it is. There will be some improvements to the garage to make it more current with today's standards, including some EV charging spaces, new signage, some refresh elements in there, as well as adequate bike storage for the building. More garage. This is an image of the rooftop deck. As noted, we'll have game area, bocce ball, yoga space, bags, putting green, track, all sorts of fun elements to keep the residents on site. Here's some typical floor plans. Obviously, not every unit will look like this, but it is meant to indicate kind of the intended size of each unit. They'll all be state-of-the-art, new construction quality with various floor plates to match various unit sizes. Proposed elevation of the building. This is of the north tower. You can see the areas where will be recessed balconies. There will be windows that we made operational and operable to comply with residential codes. And then we pulled back the corners of the building to give it a more residential feeling from what it is currently as office. Another image. Some images of the garage, which we'll be adding some green space to, some trellises and other elements to enhance it. There's the guy again on his balcony. This is the proposed lobby of the north building. We're going to be reusing all the entry points, and we'll be differentiating entrances for the commercial and residential, but this will be an aesthetic of what that could look like. another rendering. That's we started. There we go.
Okay.
Ended with breakfast. So with that, I would say as I said, the staff report is a good indication of what we're proposing. There's a lot of exciting elements about this. We'll be bringing in a new housing stock to the community. Believe this will play a good part in some of the other improvements that the village and IDOT are making along Old Orchard Road to play off everything going on in Old Orchard. And we think this will be a very exciting project that will really be adaptive reuse with a lot of great environmental elements, and happy to answer any questions from the commission.
Yes, how would you assign parking to the tenants?
To the
Is
tenants,
it, was it 2 spaces or 1 space per unit, or?
so this plan has, because it's proposed to go from office to residential, there's far in excess, way more parking than is needed. So at this point, I think there'd be areas that would be more for residents. I think we would have the office parking more directly accessible for the in and outs, which will be done on a more regular basis. But we haven't gotten that far to determine which specific spaces. We will have certain EV spaces and certain handicap spaces available, obviously.
And how about spaces for the clinic?
For the commercial tenants?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's adequate parking on site, both on the service and in the garage, so we would work as part of a master plan on determining which spaces those would be utilizing. I think the residential, we would look for more of a secure area further up in the garage as typical, and then the commercial tenants would be probably more available on the ground floor, given that there's more customers coming in and out for those types of businesses than typical
How about
residential.
guest parking for residents?
Guest parking, there'll be a combination of both on the ground floor, exterior. There's quite a few spaces outside, as well as some in the garage. So, unlike some of our retail projects where parking is scarce and maybe worry about there not being enough, this is one of those rare projects where we're giving back to having more parking than we need. So, so we're significantly overparked by the standards of code and what the project would generate from a traffic standpoint and intensity.
Very good, thank you. Any questions?
After the roof deck is built, how many spaces remain? Indoor, outdoor, combined?
There's 740
There we go.
spaces.
That answers
So,
all the
this is a very creative way to utilize a garage. I mean, most, this project, I will know, we've looked at a lot of office buildings, and most office buildings, just structurally and layout-wise, aren't conducive to an adaptive reuse of this nature.
But with 700 spaces, we have plenty of parking.
Right, and there's more. We're getting rid of the top floor of the deck. So right now, if you see it from right now there's a kind of a top floor. We'd be leveling it out by getting rid of the top, and that would become the amenity deck. So there's definitely some unique elements here that we've looked at and elsewhere that for one reason or doesn't work. So this amenity deck is larger than it needs to be, but it serves a great purpose where it sits in the middle of the project. And I think, I'm not aware of any projects of this size that have a walking path on site, plus all the amenities obviously are being near the forest preserve and elsewhere.
So when you use the term, different question now, commercial.
Yeah.
You use the term commercial, does that interchange with the existing office?
Yeah, that's what I mean, commercial. I mean,
Commercial,
there's,
so
yeah.
there's gonna be some ground floor commercial, I read
Right.
in the report. That's the introduction of things that aren't there yet, like a grocery store or something?
Well, no, we're not envisioning a retail component. There's several, office tenants that have leases here that we'd be either maintaining as existing or would be looking to relocate. So some of those tenants are on the ground floor of the building. There's others that are elsewhere. So, that's one of the moving parts within the development is that there are 2 buildings. The north building, the 5502, is more readily available for development, but this will likely have some sort of phased approach towards the construction because there are existing leases that we have to contend with. So, the commercial tenants will be, existing, primarily office tenants. There's not a grocery store or any sort of like retail component. So,
And ultimately, do you intend then for both towers, years later, after all the leases are up, to be entirely residential with only the medical clinic in the middle remaining?
well, I think these will be predominantly residential. I think the ground floor commercial space is limited. It's 6,000 to 7,000 square feet per building. So we do have plans to convert some existing office areas to residential, but as long as it's operating well and it's leased, there's no reason to convert it. I mean, it's not dissimilar to condo buildings that you see commercial on the ground floor. This we would have a limited element like that.
Great.
Any other questions? Commissioner Matei?
Proposed rents for the units?
I think it will ultimately depend on the market. I think, unlike retail where you commit to the rents and then you hope that it works when you're done, here the market will ultimately drive it. But I think, compared to new construction, I think we'd be slightly less than that. So I think the rents will be between, $2.60 and $3 a foot. Ultimately, the market will bear. There's obviously a lot of product that's coming on the market in the next 24 months, but we do think that this product will be pretty compelling to a lot of renters because we don't have to command the highest rent in the market. And I think we'll be able to offer a product that will be on par with a lot of new construction because of the proximity, the location, the amenities, and some of the other things we're trying to curate within the project.
Any other questions?
One more question.
Yes.
All the windows are gonna be replaced, I assume, because some of them have to be openable and some are gonna have balconies.
Not all of them. We will be complying with all the village ordinances. Some of the window, a lot of the windows will remain existing. Some of the windows will be swapped out for like-kind windows that will be operational. And then some of them will be removed to make place for the balconies.
And you're
But-
already considering soundproofing, of course, to make the building usable.
Yeah.
I was in the building recently for
Yeah.
an office use, and it was quite a quiet.
Yeah, I
building.
mean, it's built well. I mean, obviously, it's past its prime from an office standpoint, which is why we're here before you guys tonight. But from a quality of construction, it's been well maintained. It's a strong building. We look at a lot of buildings, everything needs to be replaced. So while there's definitely some inefficiencies in the building and a lot of systems have to be upgraded, there's definitely elements that we're able to try to adaptively reuse, which is environmentally green and cost conscious.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, gentlemen, if you're finished with your presentation, I'm gonna ask staff to give us the report.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you. Paul Reese, sir.
Good evening, all. Paul Reese, Planning Manager. I'd like to ask the staff report be accepted into the record.
Granted.
I'll pull up the site plan here as I talk. So, case 2023-31P, the site plan approval for 5202, 5250 Old Orchard Road in the OR Office Research District. Not a whole lot of new stuff to go over that wasn't previously covered by the petitioner. The site contains 2 partially occupied office buildings, a parking garage, and surface parking. The petitioner is converting the 2 7-story office buildings into mixed-use residential and commercial with 245 residential and 740 parking spaces. As mentioned, it's a mix of studios, 1s, 2s, and 3s, approximately 24 studios, 84 1-bedrooms, 115 2-bedrooms, and 22 3-bedrooms. One thing I'd like to point out is on the north side of the north building is proposed for some first floor residential. So a handful of these parking spaces along the building here have been removed to include some private patio spaces. So as indicated, we're way over parked. I think 518 is the required amount of parking and 740 is what's proposed. So plenty of parking. Just wanted to make note that some of that parking on the north side of the north building is going to be converted to residential patios. As mentioned in the report, the Planning Division is supportive of the request for site plan approval. This proposal will bring more than 300 new residents to the area to support nearby retail and employment centers at Westfield Old Orchard Mall and Cook County Courthouse. The generous setbacks and landscaping will screen and provide a buffer for the residential areas to the north in Glenview and Wilmette. And this site plan calls for reducing the parking from the current conditions by removing the roof of the parking deck and converting those spaces into amenity space. So therefore, staff recommends that the petitioner's request to modify an existing site plan approval for a planned development in the OR Office Research Zoning District in order to convert the 2 existing office buildings into an office and residential mixed-use development, and convert the upper deck to the existing garage into recreational space, be approved based upon the proposed positive findings of fact and subject to the recommended and standard site plan approval conditions listed in the reports. And also that the current site plan approval ordinances, number 10-11-Z-3796 and number 15-7-Z-4156 be repealed.
Okay.
That is
Any
all I have.
questions of staff?
There's no affordable component in this project?
Uh,
I know it's not required. at
That
this
is correct.
juncture.
There is none proposed.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Paul. Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who has a comment or question on this case? Okay. All right,
So
gentlemen, would you please back up? Oh,
If they
I'm
come,
sorry.
I had one question of all of us, I guess this question for Paul or Johanna. What are we to do with the affordable housing question? I didn't want to ask, I didn't know where it was appropriate.
We don't
to
have an
ask it
ordinance
further.
yet.
We don't have an ordinance yet, we're discussing it, and soon we will have something. In the past, we've said to developers that we'd like that included, or we'd like some contribution. In fact, it was much contested at the one meeting about
So-
the main Mary Crown School issue, as to not only how much they were, how many units, but they were giving an offset of money instead of units.
Sure. So, the village board did not vote to adopt the inclusionary housing ordinance that was in front of the group at 2 meetings ago. So the village does not have one. We have encouraged developers, we shared with this development team that the village was, had this under consideration, but we have no teeth to compel. So that's, some developers have made the decision to include that in their package, others have not.
And given that this is an existing structure within the village without construction, not infringing further really on our infrastructure, I'm okay in the case that you mentioned, obviously brand-new construction, completely different use, I can see the exception there.
Okay, very good.
Okay?
Satisfied? Sorry, gentlemen, to keep you waiting.
No.
You've heard the staff report. Do you have any issues with the staff report, or do you have comments about it?
No, I think it was thorough. I think Paul and his team did a great job. Obviously, there's a lot of work ahead. It's still, finalizing a lot of elements here. Having existing tenants and all these design elements, there's things that have to, a lot of push and pull, but we're working on it, and, obviously appreciate a positive recommendation. I think this is a great project, and, hope to have another project in town, so.
Okay, thank you very much. No, Commissioner,
Just a
excuse me.
question. Just
Commissioner
one
Oh, yeah.
Franklin?
I'm just looking for clarification. I had understood the first floor was gonna be commercial, at least initially, and then I was hearing that the first floor was gonna be residential in the north tower.
It's a
So-
combination, so that's all true. So right now, the whole building is commercial. There are existing
Right.
lease obligations, so we are, I think some of the flexibility that we're seeking on the unit count is that, so this is a good indication. So right now, the entire first floor is commercial plus lobby and infrastructure. We're envisioning, at least on the north building, to have several ground floor units, which are obviously attractive to certain, people who want to be on the ground floor, but there are also existing lease tenants that have, in some cases, longer leases. So the business plan is to maintain as many of those tenants in there as we can, so long as it doesn't materially interfere with the business plan. So over time, it could potentially convert, but in the immediate term, our goal is to create some units and then keep some commercial space, and then intend to keep it there for.
So you're not looking to expand the commercial, just.
No, it would be,
maintain what you
it's a
have?
major reduction. I mean, as noted, there's a lot of vacancies in this building, so we're trying to, keep tenants in there that we can, so long as it doesn't interfere with the business plan, but, there wouldn't be any sort of expansion of the building or square footage in the building for that type of use.
Thank you.
I thought, after you construct, is it your intent to turn this over to an operating entity?
Yeah, there'd be a professional, first-class management company that will operate the building.
But
do
you
the
are
lease.
still gonna retain ownership?
Yeah, that's, the plan is to hold it. That's,
GW is gonna be the
yeah,
owner,
that's-
the builder and the owner,
That,
and then
that's
management.
always the intention. Obviously, the market will dictate kind of where things are at when it's done. There's a lot of volatility in the market right now on really every aspect. So we're just trying to pin it all together. But when we get to that point where the goal is that we hold this is, been around a long time, and they like to stay here, so.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you very much. I'm open for motion.
Just move it right there.
Oh, Commissioner,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the staff report as presented.
okay.
Second.
And Commissioner Franklin seconds. Thank you. Commissioner Scott Berman,
Aye.
Commissioner Franklin,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Berman,
Aye.
Commissioner Matei.
Aye.
Now vote aye. The measure passes. Gentlemen, this case will come before the Board of Trustees at a future date. They meet on the first and third Mondays of every month. And you'll be notified when this case will go before them for final approval. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Good luck with your project. Have a good holiday.
Okay, thanks. Congrats, everybody. Thank you.
That was easy.
So next meeting, next meeting.
Okay.
We should tell people. Well, it just isn't agenda.
Hey, Paul, did you gavel us out?
I don't know what this was.
No, are we adjourned?
Yes, we are adjourned. Oh, we are adjourned.